that I have this man, that I wedded husband.
Yeah, okay, that's the Netflix version of Princess Margaret's wedding, the very first televised royal wedding. Here's the real one on May 6th, yes, 1960, 58 years ago today, Princess Margaret married Anthony Armstrong Jones.
So long as ye both shall live.
20 million people in the UK tuned in. It was just the beginning of some blockbuster royal weddings on TV. They didn't all exactly have happy endings, and the weddings were a little stodgy, but it sure didn't stop people from watching. Then Diana died, and everything changed. The Queen was criticized for being almost inhumanly stoic. After staying mostly silent for days, she finally gave in and changed history, grieving in public. Since, there's been a serious attempt to modernize, some would even say, save the monarchy. Will and Kate's wedding was a tabloid extravaganza. And now the royal rebrand is on steroids with a decidedly untraditional Harry and Meghan. Prince Harry went from being exposed by the tabloids for being naked in Vegas to a charity superstar with the Invictus Games to lately unrobing his soul, sharing his feelings on TV over the death of his mum.
When you're that young and something like that happens to you, I think it's lodged in your heart and your head, and it stays there for a very, very long time. At that point, I was still, I wasn't there. I was still in shock.
And then there's his bride, an American TV star. Shocking. Meghan Markle is also biracial, a first for the royal family. Her betrothed had to speak out against the racial undertones of some headlines like this one. But the shakeup appears to be working. People are enthralled, swooning over Meghan, buying the clothing that she's wearing as soon as she's photographed in it, gobbling up all the glam details of the wedding plan. The question then is, do royal nuptials really impact the future of the monarchy? My guest not long ago argued it was time to get rid of the Queen, but now he's not so sure. Joining me is Stephen Marche. He's a cultural commentator and writes for The Atlantic and The New York Times. So, Stephen, I never really saw you as a royal watcher, but here we are. Things have changed. Like, it was just, what, 2016? I think you were writing that the monarchy, or maybe the Queen, was a little silly for Canada.
Well, I mean, I think the royal family still is silly, but, you know, in that time, what's happened in republics and what's happened in constitutional monarchies has really changed. And I think what we've seen is that, you know, silliness kind of works. You know, I mean, what the monarchy might be ridiculous, it might be absurd, but on the other hand, it prevents a certain kind of toxic politics from taking over.
So now you're a big fan of constitutional monarchies?
Well, you know, I just think there's this thing where rather than having to decide what our national symbols are, we kind of already know what they are, and that means that when we talk about politics, we can talk about government. You know, in America, they're always trying to decide what their national symbols are, and, you know, because of that, they get people like Donald Trump. I mean, ironically, monarchy might be better for the 21st century than for the 20th century because it kind of hives off all the celebrity nonsense into, you know, weddings like we're about to watch, and, you know, and sort of saves politics for politics.
So how does Meghan Markle, she actually is a celebrity, how does she play into
Well, she's perfect, because it's the fusion of both worlds, right? It's the fusion of the old celebrity, like, which is aristocracy, which is, you know, the royals are the ultimate example of, and fuses it with the new world of celebrity, and it's kind of perfect.
So celebrities who aren't allowed to have lines of their own.
Well, you know, the thing is, it's better to have your empty symbols be empty, right? It's better to have them have no opinion rather than to make your national symbols like be presidents and then actually be capable of making decisions. So if you're going to have this kind of spectacular politics, this kind of politics of spectacle, it's really great that it's just a party that kind of has no impact on people's everyday lives, rather than what you see in America, where it sort of changes the entire nature of the country.
So Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, they're quite different. They're quite untraditional. Is this a rebrand? Is this a successful... I'm sure there's love involved, but is this a successful rebrand?
Well, I think the monarchy actually has been unbelievable at branding. If you treat them as celebrities, they are just unbelievably successful at marketing themselves. But, you know, they do have like 200 years of experience doing it. They kind of, you know, by appointment to Her Majesty the Queen is kind of the first example of celebrity branding there's ever been. And I don't really think it's a rebrand because they're constantly doing this stuff. And, you know, the other thing about the royal family is they can never go out of fashion, right? There is no way for them to disappear from the public sphere. So, you know, I think it's actually finding a woman who can endure the life of a royal and endure that kind of celebrity, emptiness that you have to do, that is sort of the constant part of celebrity, of royal life, that's essential to the rebrand. So
our constitutional monarchy is going to take off around the world now?
Well, I mean, I think they are clearly more successful. They really are. Like, when you look at protections for various forms of civil rights, like parliamentary democracies, constitutional monarchies are more successful than republics, even though they're sillier. Maybe because they're sillier. So, I think at a certain point, like, I think when I was younger, I was like, well, this just doesn't make any sense to have this eccentric German family be the head of state forever and ever in some strange medieval ceremonies. But on the other hand, if it works, don't fix it. Right.
Thanks so much, Stephen.
My pleasure.
Royal Watcher, Stephen Marche. Thank you.